What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So recently my buddy Austin Nieheiser, who happens to be a member of the community, if you're active in the Razor groups, the Mototec, the BombMoto groups, you'll probably recognize his name. He's always shouting out the channel, also a member of my Patreon. He's a great friend, and he's actually building you guys a 12-volt reducer kit that you guys can buy. Now this thing's going to be completely universal, so it'll fit a Voltol, Far Driver, Kelly, Beaver, I mean, you name it. If you got a 36 volt Razor stock, you can plug it into that. You have 48 volt, 60 volt, 72 volt, it's going to work for you. And I'll get you a little bit more detail on how that's going to work out here in a minute, along with what comes with the kit, what you can add to it, all that good stuff. So big shout out to Austin for doing this for all of us. I appreciate you reaching out to me, sending me one of the kits so I can show you guys. All right guys, that's enough talking. Let's get right into it, and I'll show you guys where you can get it, what you can do with it, what comes with it, all that good stuff. Let's do this. Alright guys, so you probably noticed a couple of my shorts lately showing off what comes with it, what it can do. Now this right here is not the final form, just a little disclaimer. Yours will be a little bit more cleaned up. Your high and low switch will actually be bar mounted, so it'll be that same switch, but it'll have a nice metal bar clamp for it. So don't pay too much attention. Your reducer will come with a sticker with the QR code that leads you to this video and possibly another video. So if you guys made it here from the QR code, let me know down in the comments that you did. And so yeah, let's get right into it. So as you can see here, this is everything that you're going to get in this kit. You have a nice headlight that has fork clamps. So those fork clamps are adjustable. They'll work with the skinny Razor forks all the way up to your 45-48 millimeter forks. He will be offering a display. I'll put a picture of that up right here, so you guys can add that if you want to. I will be plugging in my DKD display, but as you can see, all I'll need to do is wire mine in. He should be leaving you the other side of the 6-pin with wires coming out of it and little heat shrink butt connectors. That way it's super easy for you. All you got to do is match up your wires, take a lighter or heat gun to the butt connectors, and it'll wire right up. You're going to have a master on and off switch, so that way you can cut power to the reducer completely. That way if you're in storage mode, it will not be continually draining your battery. You're going to get a 12 volt reducer, 15 amps, so it's got plenty of juice to run all sorts of stuff like LEDs and whatever else you might want to add to it. Today we are going to be adding a tail light. So it actually has a spliced wire right here that takes power from your running light, and you can add a tail light to it, and then I will show you how to wire up the brakes to the tail light as well with the included fuse box. You're going to have 6 different positions for different lights. 2 of them are already going to be used. And then as far as the reducer, so you're going to have 2 options. You're going to have a cheaper option that goes from 36 volt up to 48 volt max. And then you're going to have another option for 48 volt up to 72 volt. So if you're somebody who just wants to chill at 48, 36 volt, you're not really too worried about upgrading to 72 volt, you will have a little bit cheaper of an option at $115, or you can get the 48 to 72 volt reducer. That way, if you're running 48 volt, you plan to go to 72, or you're already at 72 volt, it is ready for you. So the 36 to 48 will be $115 again for everything you see here, or the 48 to 72 volt will be $130. Of course, like I said, he will have an option for a display, which we'll get to that later. I believe he is still coming up with a price for that, so stay tuned for that. And like I said, I'll leave in the description a link to his profile. That way you can give him a message, get one yourself. You can talk to him about the display prices, and of course he will help you out with any of the technical stuff. But yeah, so a little bit more into what is actually in the kit. So like I said, we got a reducer, we got our fuse panel, which you can add additional lights to. We have our tail light splice that's ready to go. We have our high and low beam. Again, will be on a bar switch, so it's off, low beam, off, high beam. Then we are going to have our running light button. Now this is a lit up button. I'll show you that here in a little bit. And then again, like I said, our master switch. That way you can cut off power completely, go completely dark. And then what we have here is our adapter. So you can see this plug right here will actually plug into a Viver kit, into the indicator plug, or you can get this extension right here. That way you just plug this wire in, and then you have a positive and negative to go to your battery terminals. Like I said, on a far driver, you could do Kelly, Voltal, anything like that with a battery post that you can put them on. But yeah, so let me go ahead and show you how easy it is. I have my far driver right here, and then I have my Mototec stock motor that will represent the Viver kit with an indicator plug. So let me get you all set up and we'll show you. So to save a little bit of time, I just want to show you what I'm going to be doing. So I'll be using this little pigtail right here, and I will just be putting positive to positive and negative to negative. So all I'm going to be doing is unscrewing these two and then throwing these on, and that's it. We are completely plugged in and our 12-volt reducer is ready to go. So what we need to do is just turn our plug on, and then we can go to our running light, and we got running light. Again, you can attach a tail light as well. So once you hit your running light button, your tail light's running light will also turn on. I'll show you that, how to plug that here in just a little bit. Then we can go over to our bar switch, and we will have our low beam and our high beam. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Of course, you're gonna have your display. I'll go over that a little bit here in just a second as well, but right now I just want to show you how easy it is to swap over to a Viver kit. So what I'm going to be doing is just unplugging this little pigtail right here. I'm going to take my mock-up Viver, and then real quick I just need to plug the battery in and my ignition, and I'll show you how easy that was. Alright, everything's kind of a stretch with the ignition switch right here, but as you can see, all I have is that plugged into our indicator, and then we have our power off to our reducer. So we'll go ahead and flip our switch, and then we go ahead and turn it on. And as you can see, we have power. Again, super easy. Like I said, you just have to plug in one little single plug right here, or if you're doing the far driver, Kelly, stuff like that, all you got to do is attach them to your battery leads right here, and super easy. Cool deal. So let's go ahead and get into the fuse panel, and I will show you guys how you can hook up a tail light, and then I'll go over the display, and we'll also do brake lights. So let's go ahead and go over how to install the running light on the tail light to our included plug right here. It will come with a pigtail and one of these solder butt connectors right here. So basically all you'll need to do is plug that in, solder your power wire from your brake light into that, and then what we will be doing is running the ground into the ground on the fuse panel, and then once you hit your switch, it'll turn on your running light on your headlight and your running light on your tail light. Now the only thing that you might need to grab is some of these. You can pick these up at Harbor Freight, fairly cheap, you know, any hardware store. That way you can crimp this onto your ground wire and ground it out yourself. Now if you guys need some sort of connector, like if you have a 3-wire, 4-wire, 5-wire tail light, and you need him to help you out, and he can actually crimp on some of these connectors right here, make you a little pigtail. That way all you got to do is butt connect and heat shrink them on. So just let him know, you know, talk with him. He'll be very responsive. I'll link his Facebook profile to where he will be doing his business, and just give him a message, you know, talk to him about what you're going to want to be doing. But yeah, so I'll show you guys what I'm going to be doing. Again, like I said, $30. Grab yourself some waterproof connectors and crimpers, and you'll never need to worry about that stuff again. You know, go grab yourself a box of these kind of connectors. You know, there's blade connectors, all that good stuff. You know, they're $5-6 at Harbor Freight or a hardware store somewhere around you. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get into it. We have our tail light that I'm going to be using for my B1. I've already kind of went ahead and extended these wires for I was actually going to use this for the Mototec, but I switched this around and I will be using it for my B1 with the 3D printed bracket that I did. If you guys need one of those for your B1 and you want to do something similar as well, you can hit me up. I sell those ready to go at $25. Has the hardware for the clamps and everything. All you need to do is grab a tail light of your choosing and slap it on there. Alright guys, so here we're going to go ahead and go to our brake light. Depending on the brake light, you should have a wiring legend or something that tells you what wire goes to what. Now on mine, I believe green is going to be my negative and brown is going to be my positive for my running light. And then of course I will have yellow for my brake lights. I could have those backwards, don't quote me on it. Like I said, make sure you know which wires are which. So what we're going to need to do is take our positive from our running light into the tail light, and we're going to snip this wire off, and we are going to butt connect it to this wire right here. So we'll take our butt connector, put it on the end, take our positive wire for our running light, stick them together, and then we're going to plug it in right here. But we're not done just yet, so don't power it up. Next thing we're going to do is take our negative wire, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut it, and I'm going to put one of these right here on the end, and then we are going to ground it out onto our fuse block. So let me go ahead and figure out which wires are which, and then I will show you what I did. I want to show you a quick test I did. So off my 12-volt reducer, I took my little gator clips, I put my negative on a negative post, and I put my positive on a positive post. Now if you follow this wire right here, we have our gator clip clamped to our negative wire on our tail light. Now I'm going to take my positive, and you want to be sure that you have your negative right, and I'm going to touch. So we're going to touch that right there and touch this right here. So as you can see, this one's a little bit dimmer than this one right here. Sorry, I'm not getting a great connection. So we can easily tell that this one is going to be our brake light, and this one is going to be our tail light, our running light. So yeah, so now that I know that which wire is which, I'll go ahead and cut these and crimp on my pigtail and my connector for our ground. Alright you guys, so we have successfully soldered on our power wire, and we have crimped on our negative. So now all I need to do is put this into my negative and plug this right into here, and then once we press our button right there for our running light, our tail light will also come on. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. And here we have it. We have our positive plugged in right here and our negative grounded out. So we'll go to our running light button, and we now have a headlight running light and a tail light running light. This one's kind of fancy. It's got a little license plate light as well. So the next thing we need to do to complete this tail light is we need to run this from the brake lever, and I'll show you how to do that real quick. Well, again, we're just going to be adding a length of wire off of one of these positives, and we are going to run it into a 2-pin connector, and on the opposite side of the 2-pin connector it will go into this power wire for the brake light, and then that 2-pin connector will reach up into our brake switch right here, and we'll swap this out with a 2-pin connector as well. We'll cut that, plug it in, and literally all you got to do is squeeze the trigger and the brake light will come on. So let me go ahead and show you how that's going to work out. We're actually going to make it a double connector because you got 2 brakes, so obviously you're going to want to be able to plug both of them in. So let me go ahead and wire that up for you and I'll show you what it looks like. Alright you guys, so I have my little connector made. So if you take a look at it, we have 1 2-pin, 2 2-pin connectors. You can see the middle one has 2 wires coming out each side. One going to, or I should say 2 of them on each side going to the second 2-pin connector, and then 2 coming out this side, 1 going into a single pin connector, and then 1 going into one of these little fork blade thingies. So basically what I've went and done is I've taken my brake positive and I hooked this up to a single pin, kind of just like how the running light was. Now for my headlight, or excuse me, my tail light, it actually shares ground between the brake light and the running light. So make sure yours does as well. If your brake light has a separate ground, which normally it wasn't, usually if you have blinkers they'll have a separate ground, or sometimes they all just share ground. So just make sure you know what your tail light is doing. So as you can see, we are already grounded, so all I need to do is put power to this. So what we're going to be doing is taking our single pin off of here. We are going to plug that in. As you can see, it goes in one side of the connector, and it also pops out to this side of the second connector as well. So you can see that it's not touching this other side with this connector right here. So what we are going to be doing is putting this to one of our positives on our fuse panel. That way we will have 12-volt power on this half of our connector. So what we're going to be doing with our brakes is we are going to be replacing them with these 2 pins. So as you can see, our brake connector right here going up to our brake switch has this. I will be replacing it with these. Now it doesn't matter which one's which, it's both going to be positive. Power runs up it, and then when you click the switch, power runs back down to it and goes into the tail light itself, turning the light on and then grounding itself out through here. So all these are going to be doing is looping it up into the brake switch. So once you press the brake switch, it comes back around, down into the single pin connector and turning it on. So think of it like a big loop. You know, you can also do these with blinkers as well. I'll get into that a little bit more with these, with the display. And I won't be doing blinkers on this build. If you want to check out how to wire blinkers and do similar stuff with a fuse box exactly like this, I'll link a video up here. So if you guys are a little bit more expert in wiring or confident that you can put extra stuff in there and just want a little bit of help and see how I did it, you guys can check that video out up there and it'll help you. So yeah, let me go ahead and plug this into our 12-volt power, get our brake switches switched over to these connectors, plug it all in, and I'll show you how it works. Alright you guys, as you can see, we are plugged into our brake, and we already have our running light on. I have only plugged in one of my brake switches since I am running a foot brake. I'll need to get a pressure switch, either that or I will add the handbrake on back again with a dual caliper. Stay tuned for that, of course. So we'll go ahead and pull our lever and we have brake light. Easy as that, guys. So that's just showing how versatile that this 12-volt reducer kit can be. Obviously it'll already be ready for you to plug in running lights, so you don't even have to do brake lights, but if you want to add it, it's as simple as that. Of course, like I was saying, if you want to add blinkers, go check out my other video. It will show you how to add blinkers to those as well. Very simple. It's basically the same thing as a brake light. The only difference is you got your left and right, and you'll need a left and right switch, and you'll either need a relay or blinkers that already have blinking relays built in. So pretty simple, pretty simple. So now that we are done with that, let's go ahead and discuss the connection for a display. So let's put all this distraction aside and focus mainly on this 6-pin connector and a display. Now he will not be offering the DKD display. Again, he'll be offering this display right here. So if you guys do want to include that, let him know. So basically, if you guys do get the display will actually come pre-wired for you to connect right on, and then all you will need to do is take your one line, and the display is going to work for anything with one line or CAN bus. So you're going to take your one line wire, and everything will be labeled, color coded, that way you know exactly what you're doing. You'll have detailed instructions as well, and of course if you need to ask, you can always hit up Austin and he will help you out. But basically you're going to need to take this and a butt connector, and then you'll go to your far driver harness and you'll go to brown, and then you'll butt connect this and brown together. Or if you want, he can include a connector of some sort. Like I said, just work it out with him. He'll take care of you. That way you're going to read speed on your display along with amp readout, all that good stuff. Now I'm going to be hooking up to a DKD display. So if you don't purchase the display from him, he will leave you this option where you have the other side of the 6-pin connector with pigtails hanging out and soldering butt connectors. That way you can figure out your diagram on your display and you can butt connect them and it will turn on with your reducer kit. So what you're going to have is the headlight display. So you'll have the little green indicator letting you know that your headlight is on. You'll have the display's main ground. You'll have the display's battery voltage, whether it be 48 or 72 volt. You're going to have 2 wires that you can splice into your blinker system if you decide to go with a blinker. That way it'll show you your little flashing indicators on your display for left or right, and then again 1 line. So I'll be connecting my DKD to this. So all I'm going to be doing is cutting these right here, but connecting them on. If I was in your guys' position, that's what I would do. But since, you know, I already have all my connectors and stuff, what I'm going to be doing is just repinning these into this, and I'll give you guys an idea of what you can do with this connector. So I've gone ahead and made my connector for my DKD display. So I got everything hooked up. So let's go ahead and turn on our master switch. As you can see, we got display power. And then let's go ahead and turn on our low beam. As you can see, we got our little indicator lit up. And then if I decided one day I wanted to hook up blinkers, you can see we got blinker power that just needs to get spliced into the blinker lines. And then we also have this one as well. So yeah, guys, like I said, this one, he will have an option for the display that will plug right in. Otherwise, he will leave you this little 6-pin connector, the opposite side. That way you can look at your display's wire diagram and you can hook them up. You can use the included butt connectors. Fortunately, I have pin crimpers, that way I can crimp on the pins to the opposite side of the display's plug. That way I just made my own little dealio right there. But yeah, guys, this kit's been very, very intuitive, well thought out, and just what you can add to it has been super awesome, and I think it's going to be a great kit for everybody. But yeah, like I said, we got our running lights, we got our brights, we got our low beam with our indicator, of course our blinkers. So all that's left now for us to do is go ahead and mount everything up. So again, like I said, this will be a bar mount, so you won't have to worry about this. Just run this to your bars and you're good to go. The only thing that we will have to worry about is putting our running light button right there and our on and off master switch. So pretty easy. You should be able to take this out just like so, and then cut yourself a hole wherever you want to put this, so you can get tricky and you can hide it somewhere. That way nobody knows how to turn your lights on and off. Something simple like that. And then of course we will have this, and this also disconnects from here. You can pop that off, and as you can see, it's got a ring. So all you need to do is cut a hole in your plastic somewhere, run this to it, tighten that down just like so, and you're good to go. So I'm not going to show that part. Everyone's going to have different opinions of where they would like it, but what I'm going to do now is go ahead and install all of this into my B1, and then I'll give you a good look of how it would look on your B1, or possibly a good look into how you would like to hook it up to your SX, your RSF, Mototec, whatever you got. Yo, check it out, guys. Fully wired up and kitted out. I believe this is the first one, the first B1 with a headlight. We got the tail light down there. I went ahead and replaced that three-way switch with a bar switch for the high and low beam. Got our display hooked up, headlight mounted with our brackets right there. And then I went ahead and took my plastics off and mounted my running light button right here and my master switch right here. It's looking pretty sick. And then of course I have my 72 volt reducer right here, and you'll actually get some Velcro. That way you can strap yours down wherever you might need to. And then you can see I got my fuse box sitting right under here, nice and tight. It's looking insane, guys. So let me go ahead and show you. We got our master switch off. Go ahead, turn our key. This is wired up to my far driver, so that's going to come on with it. Now if I want to turn on display, hit my master, display is now on. Then if I want to hit my running lights, press that button, go back here, we have our tail light ready, headlights on, and then we'll go to our three-way switch. We'll put our low beam on. As you can see, we got our low beam indicator shining right there. Low beam is on. Go ahead and switch the high beam right there, nice and bright, looking good. Then of course we got our brake light. Let's see if I get a good shot. Hell yeah, guys, I'm stoked on this. Came out super clean, everything tucked in beautifully. You can't even tell I got it all wired in there. Tail light's looking good. Let me know if you want a bracket for your B1. Of course, I'll get you taken care of. And I'm actually loving this big old light right here. It reminds me of like a Baja bike. Looking so sick. So yeah, guys, like I said, the kit itself will come display ready, and then if you want to order a display from him, you can. Be one of those newer square ones that are pretty nice. Comes with the light, comes with the bracket. Of course, comes with your 72 volt reducer. Obviously you can get the 48 volt one for a lesser price. You get your fuse box, and then of course you'll have a fancier three-way switch for your high-low beam. Of course, this is just one I had laying around. Yeah, guys, it's gonna be insane. Shout out to Austin, man, as I honestly hate wiring so much, and this was so simple, just to add my brake light, add my tail light. Of course, you know, I had to put my personal touches on with the DKD display. Hell yeah, guys. Cool. So I think this is about going to do it for this video. I'm sure it's already been long enough. So if you guys want to hit up Austin to get yourself a plug and play light kit, I'll leave a link to his profile down in the description, so make sure you check that out, hit him up. And then of course, if you came here from the QR code on the 72 volt reducer kit or 48 volt, whichever one you get, let me know down in the comments so I can say what's up. Right on, guys. All right, guys, till next time. Peace.